What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our channel. This is your boy Cike, back again with another video.
Seun, good morning. Good to see you again.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, very quickly, there was a letter from the Lausa police station saying you could not hold that post-mortem on the hashtag Endsars protest, and that there should be no talk about the resurrection of the movement of the People Party. What then transpired? What exactly happened? Do you want to share with us how the police went about frustrating that attempt, and then how you handled it?
Well, the Nigerian security forces in general often use bullying tactics, when it comes to anything that has to do with opposition to the incumbent administration. I think generally the Nigerian police force called my mom. I said my mom, well, she's like my mom now, my eldest sister.
Yeah, Anikulapo-Kuti.
Sister Yeni, and told her we couldn't have the event because it had the hashtag Endsars on it. Now it is important to note that this was a meeting, not an event, not a protest. It was a meeting to discuss Endsars lessons and tasks. You understand? But we wanted to do the meeting with the Nigerian people present too, so that we could hear from the people of this country, because their voice matters as well. But because our own government, right from time, do not take the ideas, the opinions, the voice of the Nigerian people to mean anything significant in their own decision-making process, they didn't see any reason why anything with people is not protest. So basically what happened was that they banned the meeting from, that's why I just felt really thrown by the whole situation. This is a meeting, it is not a protest. For the government to ban a meeting is taking this whole tyrannical structure to another level. We are back basically to the Abacha days now, where people cannot even associate or gather, and not expect any kind of oppression from the government. So for me, that was really what the issue was surrounding it. So I said to my people, if the government is not going to allow us enter the shrine and create some kind of issue around that, we have to maneuver, create a plan B, where the core of the event and the message that I wanted to pass to the people of Nigeria was still going to happen. Many of the comrades that I work with, they were not even really part of it, but many of the revolution now, people were like, oh, it's cowardly if you don't go to the venue. But for me, that was not tactical at all, because if you don't go to the venue, if we go to the venue and start interacting with the police and altercations and all that, we will never pass our message across. We'll spend the whole day on the streets running up and down. So for me, passing the message was paramount on the day. So we got another space, let the press know, and everybody came around, and we were able to pass our message to the people of this country, which was all these great left organizations coming together to create, once again, an alliance called the Movement of the People. For me, that was a great step on that day. And what was ironical was that while the state government, and security forces were claiming that they wanted peace in Lagos, and that's why we couldn't have our meeting, these same people were going to Amuwo, Dofin, local government, Oshodi, even up to Ikeja along, harassing Okada men and destroying the whole town all over again, seizing people's Okada, leading to violence against, violence against the Okada riders in Lagos, So it was, for me, really the excuse they gave was contradicting their own actions of that same day,
Right. So in your publicized agenda, which caused the police to send you that letter asking you to suspend the meeting, that's the word they use. You use the word ban. I'd actually like you to expand on that. Was it really a ban? I want you to talk about that. And I also want to know your thoughts. I want to know your opinion, because you wrote there, hashtag Endsars, lessons and tasks. And that task aspect is crucially important. What are the tasks going forward in the aftermath of the hashtag Endsars protests?
Well, I have to use ban. Ban is the word, because if it was just an advice for us not to hold it, then I'm an adult, it's my choice to take the advice or not. I'm 37 years old. I also like to add that throughout all this, the police did not call me, write me a letter, contact me. They use the same style of oppression that they've been using to hold young people in Nigeria down forever, which is infantilization. No matter how old you are, I'm older than you, so they infantilized me, calling my senior sister to talk to me, and it was just so insulting in that aspect. But what I'm saying is a ban, because they brought the police there, and the police were even preventing people from entering the shrine, on that Tuesday throughout, so definitely it was like a ban on the meeting, they banned the meeting, they tried to, but it didn't happen, even though I'd accepted the day before, as soon as my sister called me, I made it public that we were no longer going to have the meeting at the shrine. That's why it's important that everybody in Nigeria understands that no matter how you react to an oppressor, whether you submit to the oppressor, whether you resist the oppressor will always oppress. He will not change that part of himself. So even though we said we are not doing the meeting anymore, they still came and locked the shrine. Why? So for me, the task at hand for the Nigerian people is to begin to organize, to politically, articulate our own hopes and aspirations. The mistake we have been making in Nigeria, is that we've always agitated. It's a lie when people say, oh, the past generations did not do anything. What the past generation didn't do are the things we are not doing right now. And that is capturing the energy of our own action by ourselves. Like in 2012, even before that, we carry out action and we allow another group of elites who do not have the interest of the people at heart to capture that energy and use it to propel themselves to power. So this is the mistake we must not make in this generation. Whatever energy we have created right now, we must capture for ourselves. And that is the task that is at hand.
Right. I just want to ask a few questions, Seun. Number one will be, has the shrine been opened now? Or do you still have police presence around there?
Last I checked, yesterday there was still police presence, but the shrine was open. They allowed people to go in and stuff like that.
Okay, but there was still police presence.
Yeah.
So you talked about, capturing energy politically. Not Too Young to Run passed recently, and there has been talk about political parties and political organization amongst young people. What's your take on that, and how can the young people fully, actively, politically participate in the 2023 elections? Because voter apathy too is another big problem in this country. I think less than 40% of the population voted in the last election.
Well, I think voter apathy is due to the lack of representation by politicians, and also due to 40 years of military rule. Nigerians for 40 years were banned from politics, basically. Like, we couldn't participate in any kind of political activity. So, we don't have that training. But, 20 years of democracy now, people are generally beginning to stir in their sleep and beginning to look into politics again, And I think that the message also in all the previous elections have not really inspired the Nigerian people to activate their political side. It has not really inspired or galvanized them to want to be active participants in the politics of that time, because they say, oh, this is the same anyway. But I think that with a new political message, a new political direction, and a pro-People's Party, people will be more engaged. And also about the Not Too Young to Run, I'm not one that believes in the idea of youth governance. I've never seen a nation that was built by the youth. I think this whole youth must rule Nigeria is a cop-out from those that are, the elders of society, the professionals of society, because youths don't really have much. Youths don't have jobs, they don't have money, but you want them to build the nation. How? It is those that have the means that should do the job, but they don't want to do the job, and instead of saying the truth that, oh, we don't want to do the job, they are deflecting it. The youths are the reflection of society. Youth are a reflection of your society, not the solution of your society. So if you want to know how your society is, you want to know how your society is working, you look at the state of your youth. They give you the exact situation report of your society, And youth also is not an ideology, right? people will grow up and stop being young. Any idea or ideology that is going to liberate this country must be all-inclusive. It must include young people, old people, women, children, poor, rich, all demographic. Youth is just a demographic too. All demographic, but Nigeria needs its youth for the energy that they can bring to the movement, for the energy that they can bring to nation building. Youth are important. Many of our politicians entered politics young. Dimeji Bankole, I remember, Senate President, was quite young. Rotimi Amechi was quite young when he got into politics and power. Wike, quite young when he got into politics and power. People like Buhari have been in politics, Mohammed has been in politics and power for a long time. From when they were young, so youth is not really the solution to the issue. What we need are people with dignity, self-respect, integrity, and a heart that beats for their own people. Not this group of people that don't care about anything that is, in fact, I feel that they are setting Nigeria up for destruction. That's why all of them are so invested abroad. The amount of assets Nigerian rich people have abroad is alarming. All their children's school there, they have houses there, they go on holiday, they are set abroad. They're just waiting for them to scatter Nigeria so they can enter their private jets and run home. That is home. They want to run home. That's where they spend all their time. We see all their pictures. That's where they are smiling the most, and things like that. And that is, in those countries, is where they have friends that are in the middle class. In Nigeria, all their friends are rich like them. Or yes, they are not friends at all. Nigeria is only a business to these people. It's not home. So we that call Nigeria home must begin to build, or rather, reconstruct our home.
Well, Seun, we had Senator Adeseye Ogunlewe on this program, and we posed the question to him earlier in the week. That what did he think of what the police was doing with, the Afrika Shrine? And he made the point that perhaps you may have provoked the police because you were combining that postmortem on the Endsars protest with the movement of the people. So I'd like you to talk about movement of the people, what you are planning to do with that. And then you talked about the letter that was written, that they, to use your word, you were infantilized. You were not the person addressed in that letter. But they didn't even address anybody. That letter was addressed to the manger.
Yes, the manger of the shrine.
The manger of the shrine. So is that shrine, has it become a manger now?
Yeah, maybe because, the Savior is there.
I get the pun.
Maybe because they realized that the Savior is in the shrine, so they didn't want me to enter. They have to just write the manger. But to be quite honest, to respond to the senator, his statement shows that the Nigerian political class remains anti-dialogical. They don't want a dialogue with the people of this country. They are too big. They have dehumanized us for so long that they no longer respect the Nigerian people. We are not worthy of a dialogue with them. That is the reason why you say a meeting, just because of the title of a meeting, is provocative, right? But police killing Nigerian people for over 6 decades and Nigerian people rising up finally for only 3 days, that wasn't provocative. What happened in the toll gate, not provocative. The hunger in the land is not provocative. The fact that people that have private jets are hoarding Indomie noodles is not provocative. You understand? It is still the looter's fault for going there to take what is. So we understand these people's mindset. And that is what the MOP is about. You understand? The MOP is about changing this status quo. Saying to the oppressive elite of Nigeria that there are some of us that do not want a perfection of oppression. Because that's what happens here. As long as people are benefiting from the oppression of this country, they find ways to justify whatever atrocity that is committed by the people in power, as long as they are connected to that power. So we understand all of that. And that is what is going to change, and that is what MOP is here for, to create a party, a movement that is going to definitely, end this atrocious behavior of a particular set of Nigerians who have decided that things are more important than people, who exist, and they've been existing since 500 years. We've had them in our society, but the traditional African society did not validate their behavior, so they were weak. Then the white men came. Ooh! As soon as the white men came, they found external validation to that behavior. They are the same people that sold their brothers and sisters for things like mirror, gin, gunpowder. These people are mesmerized by things. Fast forward 500 years down the line, and what are they still doing? They are selling us for things. These people are billionaires that cannot build anything. Can you believe that? Billionaires that can only buy things. They can't build a nation. They are weak, so the strong needs to take power from the weak so that the nation can move forward. Being aggressive and brutalizing innocent people is not a sign of strength. It further entrenches the notion that this government is weak in the real sense of the word. So we at the MOP are trying to create something new for the Nigerian people that says we are not looking for a perfection of oppression. We are not looking for a negotiation to maintain the status quo, just bring in more beneficiaries. No, we want to use we want to change the relationship between the Nigerian people, the Nigerian government, which is both political and business elite, and our Commonwealth. That is basically at the center of the discussions that we are having at the MOP. How we can change this fundamentally dysfunctional relationship.
Are you looking to field candidates, and at what level? Are you thinking of fielding candidates perhaps in states at the House of Assembly level or the federal legislative level, governorship candidates, presidential candidates? Have you gone that far in your deliberations? And also, are you also looking not just at a political change, but also at a cultural change? Because as you did rightly say, the youths are a reflection of the malaise in this country. You also refer to that Western obsession that we have. Are you looking into that as well as a cultural shift?
For the movement of the people to be able to create a cultural revolution, if you call it that, maybe political revolution is first, because culture is social. It's difficult for people that are hungry to be cultural or behave well. The problem in Nigeria, as I said, is that so many people are not able to find their true form because they are under so much pressure. You understand? So many Nigerians are suffering out because of the greed of their fellow Nigerian so-called big men who have decided that instead of competing, right, in the real sense of the word, in the business world, you understand, no Nigerian big man is competing globally with his peers. You understand? No, we are not as if our cement billionaires are giving us the best cement in the world if you compare with other cement makers, and they are infiltrating all those global markets. It's only in Africa they are dominating us. It's not as if our food that is infiltrating all those global markets. It's not as if any of their products that they make is competing in the global market. It's a business of extraction, of living off the pain of their brothers and sisters. So for them to sell food, they want to make people hungry. To sell fuel, they have to make the price high. They want to sell light, they have to create darkness. That is the mentality and the mindset, that we first have to deal with. We have to remove the shackles that is holding the Nigerian, the African in general also, from finding their true form. Too many shackles, too many things to deal with, too many things on our shoulders. Even people with jobs, with great jobs in Nigeria, are living in debt. You understand? So it is difficult for them to act appropriately, to act with integrity. Why? Okay, you are working in the bank. Your salary is maybe 1 million naira a month. You have a great job in the bank. But these elites are charging so high for their school fees, so high for their rent, so high for their food, that you end up borrowing money to send maybe 2 or 3 kids to school and feed them and clothe them and give them good health care, because the public alternative is defunded due to the lobbying. No, not lobbying. In America, they call it lobbying. Due to the bribery of the so-called private sector and influence of this so-called private sector in the public sector decision-making process, where they influence their friends to defund our education, defund our transportation, defund our healthcare, so they can provide expensive private alternatives, putting people under immense pressure in this country. So culture is something that will come as we develop this country. There's no Nigerian culture. That's a fact. We have ethnic cultures in Nigeria in all these different regions. Yoruba culture, Efik culture, Igbo culture. Yeah, it's so beautiful. But we don't have a national culture, and that is because we've not built this nation. That understanding that creates national culture have not been harnessed by the business and political elites of this country, because it's through the process of nation building that we create a national culture, because that is when everybody in this country will come together and know each other for the first time. Unity for me is overrated. What we need is understanding, and that is what is lacking in Nigeria, because our elites are unwilling to invest in that process of nation building.
I mean, so what would be the movement of the people's stance on just these two issues? The ASU chairman was here yesterday, and we all know that there's been an ongoing strike for about 8 months now about the educational system in this country. And also, I'd like to know your take on this sort of a debate that has become a silver bullet to the problems of Nigeria now, that everybody's talking about restructuring, educational restructuring, those 2 points.
Well, educational restructuring in Nigeria, I'm a product of Nigerian educational system, at least up to secondary school level. So I understand that the mistake we've made in Nigeria from the beginning is that we have confused this Western education in our colleges and primary schools and secondary schools with African education, because it is owned and taught by fellow Africans. You understand? You see, our cousins that were enslaved in the West, the reason why many of our most vociferous, most brilliant Pan-Africanist, revolutionary, socialist theories for African people have been from the diaspora is because they could recognize that the education there was not of them, because the schools were white teachers, white curriculum. So they understood very early they had to create African schools. So children, young people, if you read, even one of my good friends that just wrote an amazing book, and I told him when he wrote the book, finally somebody in our generation has done something great, like some literally great work that is revolutionary, because we were lacking that in this generation. We didn't have a Frantz Fanon or anything like that. So when Akala told me this, his name is Akala, he said he was going to an African school every weekend after he went to normal school. But you see here, we don't do that. We don't do that. So the educational system in itself, even before you get to ASU, because for me, this whole ASU and government, both ASU, both government, nobody really cares about the students. You understand? This is the real issue in the whole discussion that is happening. Because ASU in itself, the relationship between students and the lecturers in universities is flawed. We see all the cases of bribery for marks, rape for marks, and all of that. You understand? And even on the government side, they don't care about the schools because all their children are abroad, and they've divested from our universities, whereby education is one of the least funded things in our budget. You understand? So these two organizations combined do not have the interest of the enlightenment of the Nigerian mind, in their at hand. So we have to find a way to create an educational system and educators that have the Nigerian interest at heart. Because it's not only education. We have created more educationists now than we had in 1960. Has that improved education? No. More lawyers than 1960. Has that improved justice? No.